just a little bit slow this morning. Okay, and we are live.
All right, thank you. Welcome everybody to the Brooks Municipal Planning Commission meeting, Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. It is 8:30 a.m. In front of you, you should have an agenda. Are there any items to add or delete from the agenda?
There's none.
Seeing none, thank you. I have a motion to accept the agenda. Dave, thank you. Seconded Bill, all in favor? And agenda is adopted. Moving on to the minutes, regular meeting of the Municipal Planning Commission, September 18th, 2024. If everyone's read those and reviewed, any errors or omissions? Seeing none. Okay, we have an item for discussion today. The regular Municipal Planning Commission meetings, meetings to be held at City Hall or in person or virtually. So would you have some comments or feedback on that question, please?
So I just wanted to provide a little bit of context to that agenda item, just to clarify that the reason that it was put on there is that we felt that if we were to move the meetings back to in person rather than virtually, it might facilitate better discussion among board members, and it might help the communication be clearer, and it might encourage people to speak up without having to have technical difficulties or things like that.
Okay. Comments from anyone, please?
Yeah, I'd be in favor of this idea. And then we can also, I think we'd be still allowed to have the Zoom option for our guests that are out of town and that need to be a part of the meeting. So I think this would be a good addition.
I have no problem with it.
From anyone else? Dave?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, it was up for discussion. Do we need a vote on this, Lisa? Looks like the majority is in favor of moving to Zoom.
Yeah, we don't need an official motion. We just need to get the majority. So Sin, I know we spoke previously, and Jubilin, you have no issues. Or if you have no issues, then we will schedule our next one for in person at City Hall.
No issues here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to development applications, the PAC 24D78, who's presenting?
So I'll be presenting this one. The City of Brooks has received an application for a change of use from light manufacturing to kenneling. The property is located at 328 8th Street East, and it is zoned industrial light. So in this zoning, kenneling is a discretionary use, and the applicant is currently operating their kenneling business in the same industrial area at 823 3rd Avenue East, and is requesting to just relocate the business to 328 8th Street East. And if you refer to the key map that was attached to the package, it shows the current location of the PAC, and it also shows that their proposed new location. The new use will require a residential setback variance from residential dwellings in order to comply with the requirements of the land use bylaw. So the proposed location of the kennel is approximately 80 meters from the nearest residential dwelling unit, which was measured from the residential boundary to the proposed kennel property boundary. Due to this setback, the application does require a variance from 150 meters to 80 meters. At the time that we circulated this to adjacent landowners, we hadn't received any responses. However, we did receive a couple yesterday, which were circulated to MPC via email for review, but I will just read them again here for you. So we received one response from the business owner of the properties that are directly behind the proposed location. And her concern was that the dogs would be out in the yards and they would be making noise all day and night. She feels that it is too close to her business, and she doesn't want to listen to that all day long. She did mention that there were dogs in a residential area nearby that she could hear from a mile away. And she believes that the business would be better suited for the county. And she doesn't think that it's fair that she's been there for 24 years operating her business and to now have the disruption to her business. Then we received a letter from Adventure Enterprises, which is located directly beside the proposed business. And the letter stated, "To whom it may concern, I have received your letter in regards to the change of use of the property, and I greatly appreciate that I was provided the opportunity to express my opinions on the matter, but I have a few concerns in regards to this change. First of all, I fully support the creation and expansion of small business in the city of Brooks. However, I feel as though some areas are more appropriate for certain business than others. I consider the location of my business to 312 8th Street East to be in an industrial area of the city. And there are large trucks coming and going, not only from my location, but also from the businesses directly to the west across the street, and also from the east across the back alley. There are many businesses in this area that not only operate large equipment, but also operate 24-hour services. It's for these reasons that I consider this area to be one for industrial purposes. And that being said, I feel it's not the best location for kennels. My concern is of the noise and the safety of my employees and the animals due to containment issues and the additional traffic and parking that will take place due to customers dropping off and picking up dogs. When I originally purchased the shop and land for my business back in 2014, the location was a large considering factor. I appreciate the fact that it was an industrial part of the city and that traffic was light down my street directly in front, and that the noise of the area would not disrupt the daily objectives of my business. I already have concerns regarding the school that's located across the street from me, and I've tried to address this issue with the school on several occasions, but still struggle with it. Students that attend the school have been known to park in my location, blocking my overhead doors and preventing my parking or backing out of my equipment. This severely hinders my ability to provide 24-hour services. I'm concerned that the customers to the kenneling service will add to this issue and prevent me further from successfully running my business. The pedestrian traffic also creates a safety issue in this part of the city. As I mentioned and above, I feel as though this area is one for industrial purposes, and even though we take great care and attention when operating large equipment, I don't feel as though we should be adding additional obstacles and creating more risk to daily tasks. This leads me to my next point of the animal containment and safety of the animals and my employees. As mentioned earlier, the business I run involves operating large equipment daily. Safety is not something I take lightly. My employees are trained to observe all obstacles and assess any risks that may occur. I have already addressed the pedestrian issue, which my employees are extremely cautious and aware of. With the proposal of a kenneling service to be located next door, I feel as though my employees will now have the added concern of loose animals, not only when they are moving equipment, but also when they are simply performing daily tasks in the yard. I am a pet owner and feel as though kenneling services add value to a community and provide people with options when traveling to leave their furry loved ones. That being said, the industrial area is not an appropriate location for a kenneling service. And that was the end of that concern. So those were the only two concerns that we had received for this application. The recommendation therefore be that this development permit 24D78 be approved with the residential setback reduced from 150 meters to 80 meters.
Okay, thank you, Bailey. Questions, concerns?
Well, there's already the kennels right in that same property, isn't it? Excuse me.
Just down the street, the proposed property. So on the key map, it's about 3-4 doors down, just
Yeah,
on the other road. It's along 3rd Avenue East currently.
I don't think I've ever heard any problems with that, so. There's been no problems with that one. It's been in there for quite a while.
Our biggest issue right now is a shared parking lot. So this new property would have its own parking lot. That's one of our issues. It also is increasing our space quite a bit, as well as our outdoor space. And the containment issues, we already are fully fenced. Loose animals aren't a concern.
Okay, Joel, you had a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to double check that property on 328. It is fully fenced backyard then?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's good.
And then even our gates are double gated. So if there was a situation where a gate ended up getting open, there's a second gate to keep it extra secure.
Yeah, okay. And then you got off-street parking, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Good move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the noise concerns, we're so excited for this new space because where we're at right now, our reception space is kind of in the middle of the daycare. Like all the dogs are kind of around the reception space inside the building. This new space, the reception will be at the very front of the building. All of our dogs will be towards the back of the building. So they're not going to be able to hear and see every single drop off or pickup that happens. So we're thinking that everyone's going to be settled quite a bit more than where they're at right now.
Yeah, our
throughout the
dogs
day.
usually stay pretty quiet until someone comes in to
Yeah.
drop off or pick up. So kind of eliminating them being right in the middle of that should decrease the noise a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, based on recommendations, I'll call for a motion to approve application 24D78. All in favor?
Yep.
Thank you. Opposed?
Sorry.
Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I would like to know who did the motion.
I can make the motion.
Sorry. And seconded with Bill. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. So motion to approve PAC Limited 24D78 is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to, thank you, ladies. You're welcome to stay or you can head out if you like. Kumar Homes Limited 24D80. Presenter.
Okay, so the City of Brooks has received a development permit application to construct a new attached housing development, which will consist of 2 units, and each of those units will have a secondary suite. The proposed property is located at 1508 to 1510 Second Avenue East, and it is zoned residential high density. So this proposed use is permitted in the residential high density designation. The attached floor plan shows the proposed layout of the building. However, the new use will require a parking variance to comply with the requirements of the land use bylaw. So according to our bylaw, all attached housing with 2 bedrooms or more requires 2 on-site parking stalls, and then each secondary suite with 1 bedroom requires 1 on-site parking stall. So with the 2 attached housing units and the 2 secondary suites, this development would require 6 on-site parking stalls. The site plans are attached, and they show space provided to allow for 4 standard size on-site parking stalls. And so therefore the variance being requested 6 parking stalls to 4. We circulated the proposed development to adjacent property owners, and at the time of this memo, there was only the 1 response that had been received, and it had been received previously as well by a resident that owns adjacent property that commented that they do not agree with the varying of any measurable standards in the land use bylaw, and they don't support the parking variance be given. So the recommendation is that the development permit 24D80 be approved with the following conditions, which includes a parking requirement variance reduction from 6 parking stalls to 4 parking stalls.
Okay. Questions or concerns, comments, please?
So is it 4 units or is it 6 units that got in there?
So it's 2 units attached housing and then each with secondary suite. So it'll be 4 dwelling units created in total.
4 total, yeah.
Yeah, the secondary suites only have 1 bedroom in the basement, whereas the attached housing above, I believe it's 3 bedrooms.
Then we do have a parking stall for each one then.
We would have, 1 per each unit.
For each unit, right.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I thought it was 2 bedrooms upstairs per unit.
Okay.
The
Oh, other
plans, the
Go ahead.
plans show 3 bedrooms on the upstairs, the second floor, on page 34 of the agenda.
Okay, yeah, I see.
There's
Yeah.
a primary suite and then 2 bedrooms in there.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, no more discussion. And then we will call for a motion to approve Kumar Homes Limited 24D80. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, Joel, you did the motion?
Oh. Sure.
I'm sorry, Joel and seconded Dave. I should be calling those. Okay. All in favor? Or opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Moving now to Wembley Homes 24D82.
Okay, so we've received a development permit application to construct a new multi-unit development, which will consist of 8 dwelling units. So this would be an 8-plex. This proposed property is located at 264 to 268 16th Street and is zoned residential high density. This is a permitted use in the residential high density designation, and the attached floor plan shows the proposed layout of the building. However, the new use will require a parking variance to comply with the requirements of the land use bylaw. So all multi-unit dwellings with 2 bedrooms or more requires 2 on-site parking stalls, and each dwelling unit with 1 bedroom requires 1 on-site parking stall. So with 4 multi-unit dwelling units with 3 bedrooms each, and 4 basement dwelling units with 1 bedroom each, this development would require 12 on-site parking stalls. The site plans provided a lot for 7. So we circulated the proposed development to adjacent property owners and external stakeholders, but please note that at the time the circulation for comments to adjacent landowners was completed, the original plans that had been submitted to us indicated that there were 2 bedrooms in the basement suites. So when we circulated it, it was with the parking requirement being 16 on-site parking stalls total. But then the plans were resubmitted by the developers after the request for comment circulation, and it reduced the bedrooms in the basement suite to 1 bedroom per basement suite, which brought the total parking requirement down to 12. So the variance requested again is they're going to provide 7 parking stalls, but 12 are required in our bylaw. We did receive a lot of comments from adjacent landowners, so I am going to go through those with you. We have a property owner at 272 16th Street, so that's located directly beside the proposed development, who came into City Hall on September 20th to voice their concerns. There were previous concerns already addressed that he agreed with, which we'll get to, but his main points were that he doesn't support the development of any multifamily dwellings because of the increased density, and they would like to only see single-family dwellings, although that the multi-unit dwellings is a permitted use in our land use bylaw for residential high-density neighborhoods. They're concerned that the increase in traffic and on-street parking will cause conflict between the neighbors, which will create hostility and take away from their feeling of community in their neighborhood. They believe that the 7 parking stalls shown on the provided site plans are not wide enough and that they will not be utilized, causing more on-street parking than even the requested variance. They are concerned that site plans provided show that there will be entrances to some units through side doors, which would face the adjacent property owners if they have decks or a side yard and will mean less privacy. And they're concerned that the multifamily units will decrease the value of their property, which is single family detached. We also had a petition dropped off to City Hall, which was signed, and this was circulated to MPC yesterday as well. So this was signed by neighbors that live along that street. And I'm going to quickly read the petition here for you and what the contents of it are. The person that compiled the petition owns a residence directly across the street from the proposed development, and with surrounding neighbors have serious concerns and object to the said development proceeding. So some of the objections are as follows. The 16th Street East, which runs north and south, currently consists of residential homes, with the majority of the homes being occupied by 2 adults with children of various ages. This street is very narrow compared to most of the streets within the city of Brooks, which means approximately 31.5 feet in width. An adjoining street, namely 15th and 17th Street, measures 4 feet wider. Currently, 16th Street East being a very narrow street, when traveling down the said street with an oncoming vehicle coming towards your direction, one of the vehicles must pull off the path of travel to allow the oncoming vehicle to proceed through the small passage. I fear that as a result of the narrow street, there's a possibility of property damage, personal injuries to adults and or children who are residents on the said street, with potential property and personal damage being sustained with the condition of this narrow street as it stands today. And then they noted on this that in winter it becomes worse. They said the street currently has parking issues. This is a common problem and concern of other residents on the street, and they fear that this means that it will not be the best location for an 8-plex. They have concerns again regarding privacy. And they have concerns that the proposed 8-plex development will cause serious additional parking issues, congestion, safety, privacy, trash pollution, uninformed high density changed to the lots. An 8-plex across the street will cause undue hardship, which are outlined above for myself and for my neighbors in the surrounding area. On behalf of my neighbors, the community, and myself, I request that at the very least, the proposal for the site be revised and at the very most be denied, and a more appropriate proposal for the site be undertaken. So they would like to see that street be widened, but they also have issues just with the limited parking along that street as well. So the other comments that we received were, we had an email from another adjacent landowner who was a part of this petition as well. And their email read that the parking was an issue. They believe that the parking variance shouldn't be granted because there's already decreased parking on that street. And they don't feel that the 8-plex, they feel that that's too high of a density for that already narrow street and neighborhood. That was that. So the recommendation for this application was that it be approved subject to the following conditions, and with a parking requirement reduction from 12 parking stalls to 7 parking stalls.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Bill?
We haven't even got 1 parking stall per unit then at this point.
Yeah, I agree, Bill, that somehow we've gone from a variance to reduced parking to actually a negative parking, in my opinion also, because again, at least 1 parking stall per unit, so.
I think we're running into problems with this one. It's already congested. It is that terrible down there. I've been down there many times, and I think that it's just too big a unit to be put on that corner. And you already don't even have 1 stall per unit. So I, like myself, I can't approve that one.
A similar proposal came forward to MPC earlier in August for the same 8-plex, just a little bit further down 16th Street on 311 and 315. And we discussed different options about like stacked parking to see if we can make that work. And eventually the opinion of MPC was that stacked parking you didn't like as much. And we eventually approved the variance from 12 required parking stalls down to the 7. That construction hasn't begun yet, but the developer is interested in obviously doing more of those 8-plexes along 16th Street.
Yeah, I understand they want to get as much as they can there, but I think we're creating ourselves a problem, but I could be wrong. And if you had one unit per 1 stall per unit, even, I guess you could live with that, because the main principle would have a parking stall, but they can't plug in the winter time or anything. So I think it's myself personally, I'm against it. That's only my opinion.
Other questions, comments?
I would, hang on, I muted here. Oops. Oh, no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Bill on this one. I understand what we're saying, like with the previous passing of the property from the last one to 7 stalls. My concern is the parking, front parking. It's heavily congested already, like Councillor Prentice said. Yeah, even though that's a hard. I hate to say oppose something because of the housing need, but at the same time, I think we're in trouble. Now, I would say though, across the street there, the back alley on 17th, I believe it's 17th, there's 8 plexes there, I believe. And
Yes,
they have back street parking and front street parking. I don't think there was an interest in us proposing that, was there? Just because of the boulevard and the sidewalk there.
the 17th Street is there are 2 lots for the 8+, or there are 3 lots. And then also the 17th Street is not, they are the layout, I think the lot size may be different as well. The 17th Street looks like the lot is even bigger than the 16th Street.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions, concerns? Or comments?
Comments for business mind. I feel, I could be wrong, I'm not a constructor, but for business mind, I feel the lot doesn't cost a lot of money. I believe only around 60,000 to 70,000 per lot on the 16th Street or 17th Street. Why the contractor don't buy 3 lots to build something different? 3 lots together to be 8+, that will be different story. But I do agree for the concern that is a single lot, and with single house will definitely decrease the value for 16th Street single houses. I do agree for that a resident comment, but my point, if they have 3 lots available, I'm not sure it's available or not, because to me the construction costs much more money than the lot. Why they don't make, if they make it, spend another 60 or 70,000, and the whole property will be increase a lot of value. That's just my comment to the constructor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last opportunity to speak on this. All right, folks. Wembley Homes, 24D82. Call for a motion to approve. Motion, please. And no motion to approve. So motion to deny this application. All right, Bill, and seconded by Dave. All in favor? And okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the motion to deny needs reasons. I can assume that this is because of the parking, but I would need you to be clear on that matter.
Right. Okay, so that motion was Bill?
Yep. See, it's a parking issue. I think we've it too tight. We don't even have 1 parking stall per unit, and where it's located, it's just I feel it's just far too much congestion there. So I think that either downsize, take 1 unit off, or something like that to accommodate. If that's all, you know, might have to do something like that. But that's my reason.
Okay.
Gavin, could you
Go ahead, Joel.
Gavin, could you speak to that for a moment? I know there's a motion on the floor, but if they were to reduce it down to like if we could send back a recommendation of instead of 8-plex, turn it to a 6-plex, would that change the parking variance?
Yeah, they certainly would be able to redesign this thing and make another proposal through the development department, recirculate, and then come back to you.
Right. But would that help in the parking area though?
Well, we're in this situation with 16th that, yes, we approved one of these. That adds parking to a street that was already a narrow street. Its pavement width isn't as wide as 17th. It has a lot of parking on street. We added more cars to it. Every time we do this, we're going to add more cars to the point where people will have to park a street over just to live there.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're headed on these ones.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our motion and reasons meet the conditions and all was in favor. So we will move on to Wembley Homes 24D83.
We have received an development permit application, and this is on 16th Street again, but it's actually a little bit north of the one that we just went through. And this is another request to construct a new multi-unit development consisting of 8 dwelling units. So this would be another 8-plex. It's zoned residential high density, so multi-unit dwellings is a permitted use within that zoning. However, another parking variance is being requested here because they have, according to our land use bylaw, a multi-unit dwelling with 2 bedrooms or more requires 2 on-site parking stalls, and each dwelling unit with 1 bedroom requires 1. So with the 4 multi-unit dwellings with 3 bedrooms each, and then the 4 basement dwelling units with 1 bedroom each, this development would require 12 on-site parking stalls. So the variance requested is the same as the last application where there's 12 required parking stalls and the site plans show room for 7. We circulated the proposed development to adjacent property owners and external stakeholders. And we did receive comments back from those external property owners, and I'm just going to scroll. This one was received prior to the memo being written, so it is included in the submission, and it's just an email from an adjacent landowner that says that they are owners of a property next to the proposed development, and they are not in favor of this reduction in parking stalls. Again, this street is very narrow, and we are already unable to have it plowed in the winter because of vehicles parked on the street. The variance will only make the problem worse. This variance will also lead to more vehicles having to be plugged in at the front, which will mean even more to the sidewalks. This is a problem that bylaw has proven unable to correct in the past winters. With the lots only being 30 feet wide for a total of 60 feet for 9 vehicles to fit on the street means that homeowners will lose the ability to park in front of their homes. Once again, this is already an issue. I just want to note again with this application that at the time of circulation, it was with a variance from 16 on-site parking stalls because original plans showed that there were 2 bedrooms in the basement units, but then the plans were resubmitted with 1 bedroom in each basement dwelling unit, which brought the parking requirements down to 7. So the recommendation on this application that it be approved with the following conditions, which includes a parking variance be granted from 12 parking stalls to 7.
Thank you, Bailey. Okay, questions, comments? Bill?
Yeah, I think that's same reason with that one. I think there should be at least 1 stall per unit, so that's very minimum. I think that would be giving people more than being generous, I think, because we're breaking that variance so bad it's unreal. So, and it's just another congested area. So I think that we have to start looking at the minimum, very bad minimum, 1 stall per unit. Otherwise, there's just not going to work. I don't know what's going to happen down there. It's a disaster. So myself, I'm against it simply because there should have 1 per unit, the very minimum.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Yes.
From Wembley.
Yeah.
Actually, I was trying to talk before, but for the the application which I submitted like for the 264 and 268 16th Street East. So that we have like the parking 7 stalls on the back, and I know like that street have some parking issues, like main parking. Like I worked from last around 6-7 months on that street. So the main reason I seen, like whenever I go there, like most people don't want to park on their back alleys. They love to park on the main street, right? So like I know you guys understand resident issues as well. But the thing is, we're trying to do put 16 parking, like as maybe Lisa can comment on that. When we can do tandem parking there too, but then we need to be move the setback need to be near to the street. I think Lisa, can you comment like how what was the setback when we trying to do a tandem parking?
Yeah, that was the previous discussion back in August that we had when the other eightplex had been proposed, is to do stacked parking in the back and then push the design a little bit forward and get a setback variance in the front setback. At the time, MPC didn't really support that, just because of the requirements of tenants of separate units having to kind of shuffle cars back and forth with that stacked parking.
Right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? For myself, comments would be the same. I think that at a minimum, as this area fills up, that a reduced variance where we're actually at a negative situation per dwelling, just not acceptable to me. So
Is it out of order to ask MPC to go back to city council and planning on this street? We've got so many lots left. We're going to be hitting this problem over and over and over again. And unless there's something done with that roadway, whether taking out the grassed area, whatever that's called, the widening the street opportunity, or looking at something. I know it's a big expense, but there has to be a recommendation, because there's people that want to buy lots. And unless we're only going to approve 16th Street for single dwelling, we're wasting people's time. So
I can touch on that really quickly, Joel's. Staff is bringing forward a proposal to City Council for the budget in 2025 to look at widening that road, to remove that grass boulevard.
That's
moving
it.
forward.
Yeah.
It will widen the road and create less congestion in terms of two-way traffic, but it doesn't add any parking.
No, it doesn't. No.
So it does reduce the congestion and the tightness feeling. It might make parking easier, because parallel parking is easier to do when the road's a little bit more wide, but it doesn't actually add any parking. So
I do agree with Joe's ideas as well, because I think that is my personal, I only speak by myself. When city plan something, this area for single house, and then when whoever buy the house, they already know this is city plan for single house. And then after we change our plan, like very easy. So whoever bought the house in there before, they will feel disappointed, because this is my plan. I want to live in a single house area. And then after things changing, there are lots of different units showing up there. So we'll be disappointed for some homeowner. That is my concern as well. And I do agree there our city has so many empty lots, and can definitely build a lot of multi-unit for sure.
I'll address that a little bit as well. There is a perception that this street was zoned for single family detached. But in reality, the 2014 land use bylaw had this zoned for residential high density. So at least for the last 10 years, this has always been zoned residential high density. And going back to the bylaw previous to that, the 2003 bylaw, we had Cherry look at it for us. It was zoned residential direct control. So was different zoning in that bylaw, different like phrases used, but essentially the point is that it was never zoned residential single family. Back then it was not zoned R1 and it hasn't been zoned RSD in this bylaw. So going back like, minimum 2 decades, this has always been high density. And there are very few high density lots left in the community. These ones are privately owned. And then the city owns a few on 2nd Avenue, which we heard today from Kumar's, they're hoping to build and have been approved to build on those. So that essentially will be the end of our residential high density lots that we have available for development in the community.
And also, I just want to add one more thing, because how come we on that these fourplex? When we think about if you go on that street, in the down there, these are duplexes on the. I think these are the number around 341 something, 351 some these numbers. So these are also the duplex. But what we are doing, we have a two lots. We just combine them. The duplex. That's how we come up on the fourplex plan. But if you go by single lot, is already we have a 2 electric meter on the side, like which we build already like as a single unit. We request to sell us the 1 unit in the electric meter and also the gas supplies. So when whoever developed that street, so when they developed that time, they approved as a multi-unit, like it should be 2 unit on each lot. That will be duplex, right? So we are just doing a duplex, but we are combining 2 lots because we have a 2 lot together. So we just combining these 2 lot and we putting it as a duplex. But it called a fourplex because we just combining them, right? So the parking issue, I know, like parking, most of residents, they want to park on the main street. If you go, whenever you guys get chance, just review like that. Nobody want to park on the back alley where the parking space is. They just leave it as empty. So that's why that street looks so congested, because most of residents, they just love to park on the street instead of the back alley.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Bill, is that you? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I guess I understand what he's talking about, but it still hasn't solved the problem of at least 1 unit per dwelling. So it doesn't solve the problem as far as talking about not parking in the back because they don't want to go back there. Right? If there's no parking, they're going to go back there. So I don't agree with that at all.
Well, what if we opened up that conversation again of stacked parking? Would there be appetite for that?
Go ahead, Bill.
You don't have stock parking if we're going to start moving on buildings forward. All of a sudden, you got this one in the middle of the block. You got one that are stuck way out in the front, and all the rest are back and lined up. I think what's that going to do to the aesthetics of that street? I don't think it's a wise move at this point, but kind of designing stuff after the fact, in my opinion.
Just a comment, I also have to suggest that in that area, we have a lot of people with 2 vehicles per home, as well as people driving business vehicles and company trucks. So as far as the negative parking, I'd like to see it at least 1 unit or 1 parking stall per unit. Okay, anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Seeing not, call for a motion to approve application 24D83. Seeing none. Motion to deny and a reason. Bill? Go ahead, Bill. That's second and seconder.
Who is this?
And it's Dave. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. That application 24D83 is denied. And the reason being parking.
I think, Fred, just while Harinder is on the call, the overall opinion and consensus of MPC is that they want to see at least one parking stall per dwelling unit. So perhaps what staff will do is we'll move forward working with Wembley because they have been, great at developing housing in the community. And we can see if perhaps we can convert this 8-plex into a 4-plex. With the 7 parking stalls in the back, that'll be much more than one parking stall per unit. So that will likely, Bill, you're on mute. If you're trying to speak, sorry. So yeah, we'll continue working with the developer and see if we can bring something forward.
Okay.
Would there be, sorry, and just with the note, maybe for the developer that maybe, I don't know if there would ever be an appetite for off-street front parking with that too. So that could always help on an 8-plex.
Yeah, we actually have a caveat on 16th Street East that you can't have front driveways.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, can't blame a guy for trying.
Yeah.
So if we can bring the tandem parking, the stall parking?
The stacked parking is not something that the Municipal Planning Commission thinks is appropriate on these lots.
Okay.
All right.
So then what we should do, like, can we do 8 parking for 8 unit? Is that possible if we can bring 8 parking stall?
Bring it to 8 parking stalls, is that?
Yeah.
I think that's what Lisa was suggesting. We could work with yourself and city and come up with a solution to the lack of parking for those projects.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much and appreciate your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to correspondence and information. Seem to see that sheet. Any questions or concerns with correspondence for rules?
I'll quickly give MPC an update on the development permit that was issued back in 2020, I believe, in regards to 104 First Avenue West, which is across the street from City Hall and at the post office. We have renewed this development permit several times over the years, and a number of people in the community have noticed that some survey stakes have gone in on the lot across the street. The developer has met just about every condition on their notice of decision and are gearing up to begin construction this fall. So they have been communicating well with us. They've got some great momentum, and we're really excited to see that one coming forward. So that's a 43 apartment unit complex across the 2 lots at 104 First Avenue.
Perfect. Good news. Okay, any other information, comments? Seeing none. Media, Sandra, are you out there?
I am. Can you hear me, Fred?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Just in regards to the petition, Bailey, would you mind telling me how many people signed the petition, please?
Sorry, I did do a really quick count there. There were 28 signatures on the petition.
Perfect. And all of those people are area landowners, correct?
Yeah, those were all residents of that 16th Street.
Thank you very much. That's all I need for now.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for your attendance. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you then, and seconded. Dave,
Dave had it.
all right, and all in favor? Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you everyone for being patient with me today.
Oh, you did
Thank
great.
you.